Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing today? We saw you. Hey, hello, hello, hello. I saw someone else's comment. I did warn people about the live. I gave you about 15 minutes. So before we start, I have to talk about one thing, because I received a few emails or messages on the Instagram from fans from Australia, and they were concerned with keeping Sundays as our day. Because, Australia's on the other side of the world from where I am most of the time. So they're like 12 hours ahead or 16 hours ahead, and sometimes doing a live at noon means it's going to be like 9 p.m., and they have school and work, and it gets later, and I'm sorry, I'm just getting distracted. Exactly, it's 2 a.m. in Australia. So one of the compromises they said is, why don't we do this on Saturdays instead of Sundays? And I'm like, well, it's still a weekend, so that works for me. Saturdays at noon, it means I have to be up by noon, which is a good thing. and I think that would work out best. So I'm going to propose that. I'll post I'll post one of those, what are those called? One of those polls. I'll post a poll for all of us. And it's really just going to ask, is it cool for the Australians if we do it on Saturday? And is everyone cool to sacrifice an hour on Saturday so that our book club can be that much more inclusive? I think we can do it. I can sacrifice an hour on Saturdays. I'm doing it on Sunday, so I think that'd work. These are my favorite types of hats. Actually, one of the things I want to point out is a gift from someone. Our first book on the hat, Slaughterhouse 5. Isn't that cool? So let's talk about this book, yeah? Let's do this first. What are your first thoughts immediately? Give me like one-word thoughts of what you think about The Alchemist so far. Remember, we've only read 50 pages in, part 1. Seems the beginning of the book. And we saw like a little bit of a journey through our shepherd. But we didn't... Interesting the way part 1 ended, right? So let's talk about it. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I've been having a lot of fun. Been hanging out with friends. I went to the Christmas market yesterday. Christmas market. And it was a lot of fun. Alright, so for the book, we've got interesting. We've got inspirational and philosophic. Ooh, good word. Provoking. Intriguing. Rita, we're doing one-word answers right now. We're not asking questions. I read more than that because I didn't know I read to. Well, good, I'm glad. But we're only going to talk up to part 1. So at the beginning of our book, we have our shepherd, and at the end of the book, he starts working for the man in the crystal shop. Already in Africa, and I believe in Tangier. So, well, thank you guys for liking my hair. It's kind of cray right now. But the good thing is I'm going to this really awesome yoga class with this yoga teacher that I have a crush on, and I'm excited. So, musing, someone in the background, delusional. No one's in the background, it's just a wall. So, one-word answers. One-word answers. Enlightening. Ooh, interesting. Prestigious. What do you mean by prestigious? Prestigious. I don't know if I know what that word means in this context, so please, enlighten me. Your perspective has totally changed having read it years ago and rereading it now. You think you understand it more now. That's always the case, I think, with books. Like Slaughterhouse 5, I read in the beginning of college, and I told you guys I read it like 4 times, and this time specifically, my perception of it was completely different. Crazy hair. J-Mo! Jordan Morello's on the live, everyone. Let's give Jordan a big wave, and let's also congratulate him on the 2nd episode of Anchors, which was badass. Jordan, you are a scholar and a gentleman, my friend. Alright, definitely motivational. Dreams. I love that you said that word, because isn't that interesting, educating, cool, awesome answer. Different. Ooh, Lexi, why different? What do you mean by different? These are all very interesting things you guys are saying. The sign with the King said Santiago, very interesting. The sign. Yes. If you guys said the word stones. Imagine if you had a black and white stone in your pocket to help you make decisions every day. And not just any decisions, the important ones, like what you really want. Not just like, what coffee should I get today? That'd be amazing. Love you too, Jay. Hope dreams. I like that. Ooh, dangerous. Rita, why do you think this book is dangerous? I like that. J-Mos looks like he's joining the whole live today. Love that. Awakening. Good shit. I mean, good stuff, Jordan. Imaginative. Spiritual. Jordan, there's a proposal of marriage for you, so read the comments. It's the possibility of having a dream come true that makes life interesting. Ooh, I love that. Provoking. You know what the old man made me think of? God, in a way. Goods. I like that. Dreamlike. The word that comes to me a lot is sheep and shepherd. Just because there's so many, I think, metaphors for that are in the book. And I think, like, religion, especially Christianity, uses a huge metaphor of sheep and the shepherd. And I think that's cool, especially knowing that Paulo Coelho wrote this book in Brazil, and Christianity is very popular in Brazil. So it comes from that perspective as well. Perspective, Egypt, interesting. Hope. This book does have a lot of amazing quotes. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Rita, just give us a one word. Pyramids. What book are we reading again? Okay, so everyone, if you're joining the live today for the first time, you not really know what's going on. We are talking about part 1 of The Alchemist. It is our fourth or fifth book? Fourth book. Fifth book. I think fifth book. Anyway, it's the next book in our book club. Santiago goes on an adventure. I like that. Amazing quotes. Don't you want to do a live stream? Someday. Thought-provoking. Fifth book, thank you. Fifth book. It's the fifth book in our adventure into literature. So, let's talk about the beginning of this book. The boy's name was Santiago. Dusk was falling as the boy arrived with his herd at an abandoned church. The roof had fallen in long ago, and an enormous sycamore had grown on the spot where the sacristy had once stood. He decided to spend the night there. The night there, not nightmare. I think it's interesting that he starts this book in a church. I think there's a point to that. I don't know what it is yet, because I haven't finished it. But there's something interesting that this shepherd with sheep starts in a church. Extremely symbolic of, like, Christianity, just already there, right? God being the shepherd, us being the flock of his religion, starting in his house of worship. I thought that was fascinating. Super symbolic. Totally sets the tone, right? Especially that the roof had caved in and he could look up at the stars. I thought that was such an... Like, it's almost like the whole book right there. Like, he's here as a shepherd, which I thought was also cool. He was already leading a flock. But he was still seeking for something more, something that would give him more. A whole Christian start of the book. I totally agree. And I can't wait to see the end, Holly. That's cool. Don't spoil anything. A lot of spiritual symbolism, a lot of metaphor here, which I'm glad you guys are picking up on. But I think there's the nod to faith as well. Because remember, when he gets to Africa, everyone there is Arab, and they follow Islam more, but there's still a mention of it. And I don't know, I think that's interesting. Okay, hold on, I'm going to read that comment. My 7th grade teacher gave me The Alchemist as a gift. I've read it 3 times in my life so far. This time will be the 4th. And every single time it's like reading it for the first. Love that. I'm not about religion or believing in God, but reading this book is almost like a spiritual experience. I would say so too. I think it's asking a lot of questions. And it's making people ask a lot of questions. Isn't that life about finding more? Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. I think the story about the Virgin and Jesus is very inspiring when you think about this story. Is it in the book or the biblical one? All right. Remember, everyone, I see Wise Holland here. My dad and my aunt joined the book club, too, by the way. As many people as you guys want to join the book club can join the book club. We are completely inclusive as a book club, completely accepting of anyone from any thought, or, you know, we just want people to read more. So, yeah. When he met the old man. Interesting. Will you save the stream later? Hold on, I missed a few comments. Will I save the live stream? Yes, I will. All right. Ana Cat Fernandez already has 2 quotes written down because they're spiritual, not finding yourself. So let's start with quotes. I like this. So what's the first quote in the book that kind of struck you as something interesting? I'm trying to think, because I like half read this book in Spanish, half listened to the audiobook, and finished the first part in English. So, you know, interesting thing really quickly, for anyone reading the book in, I think, Spanish or Portuguese versus reading it in English. Reading it in Spanish or Portuguese, I think it tends to, well, obviously Portuguese, that's the original language it was written in, but in Spanish it flows better in terms of like sentence structure, I think. Whereas in English, reading it after having read it in Spanish was like weird, which I thought was cool. I just wanted to bring that up. His dream is very prophetic. Yes, this book is filled with good quotes. You started reading because of the book club and me. That's amazing. Keep reading. Festive Wayland, I don't think we'll read a series just because it takes a long time. But we'll see. We'll see. We have to be prepared for change. ¿Podrías hablar español, por favor, para poder entenderte? Gracias. Okay, well. Comprende. I read it in Portuguese for me. For me, now it's hard to find a quote in English. Well, if you post the quotes in Portuguese or Spanish, I can try to fix that. Whoever you are and whatever it is that you do, when you really want something, it's because that desire originated from the soul of the universe. It's your mission on Earth. See, Jordan Morell and I are on the same wavelength because that was one of my most striking quotes, because I think it's true. I'm of the belief that we're all here for a reason. We're all meant to discover something, either within ourselves or to help other people. But always in the service of people, right? Like we talked about last week. So I totally agree that what you're meant to be it comes from something greater, and you're meant to discover it. So J-Mo, I love that quote. I'm going to read it again. Whoever you are or whatever it is that you do when you really want something, it's because that desire originated in the soul of the universe. It's your mission on Earth. Love that. I'm sorry. Let's reflect on that for like a sec. All right. They trust me, and they've forgotten to rely on their own instincts. Kenzie, love that. Were you here for 1984? What do you guys feel about that in terms of control? Remember, we read this book, which seems to be very inspirational. And then we read 1984, which was very eye-opening. Right? We read that book, which was all about this group of people who were sheep to this regime that was the flock, and they weren't allowed to think. So they had to just let their instincts kind of rely, and then we had the one person who was still human, who was like, this is all kind of weird. So I think when you take Kenzie Courtney's quote right here, they trust me, and they've forgotten to rely on their own instincts. I think that's an interesting idea, and I think it's a cooler metaphor. I think it's like a metaphor for life, you know? Because they trust me. What if they forget trusting their own gut only because I lead them to food and water? Exactly, Amanda Kenedak. We all have our own personal legend. How do you guys feel about that? I was going to bring that quote up later, Jordan, because I wanted to, we're going to end with something about that. So just remind me when we get to like 5 minutes left about, that at a certain point in our lives, we lose control of what's happening to us. And our lives become controlled by fate. That's the world's biggest lie. Ana Cat Fernandez, you have great insight to quotes. Let's talk about that quote specifically. So the old man talked about, right, this is the old man at this point in the book, and he's talking to Santiago the shepherd. This is Melchizedek talking to the shepherd. And he tells him, he goes, old people think that That at a certain point in our lives, we lose control of what's happening to us, and our lives become controlled by fate. That's the world's biggest lie. And I think that's super empowering, because what he's saying there is, like, at no point in your life are you stuck, unless you believe it to be that way. You can always change things. You can always grow. You can always move. That's a cool quote. Verena Lightwood, the secret of happiness is to see all the marvels of the world and to never forget the drops of oil in the spoon. Does that quote remind you of anything else, guys? Talking about the books we just read? Because I think Verena Lightwood stumbled upon a quote that reminded me of Anne Frank when she goes, there's so much beauty in the world, and we can't forget to see it, but we also can't forget the beauty that exists within each of us. That's literally the same quote. Two different books, two completely different things, but similar. Did you guys see the similar path there? When we love, we always strive to become better than we are. When we strive to become better than we are, everything around us becomes better too. Cool. Love that. I don't remember reading that. Maybe I heard it. Love that. Rita. He recognized that he was feeling something he had never experienced before. The desire to live in one place forever. It's interesting, because, you know, when I first read that quote, I was like, wow, that's beautiful. This girl made him, like, see, like, this could be a world here and of itself, of discovery, and I could always learn something new with this girl. But at the same time, interesting. You guys make me think a lot. Remember, this is the first live for this book, so we're really going to just leave a lot of questions to be asked and answered. So connected, right? It's the simple things in life that are most extraordinary. Only wise men are able to understand them. You say, so only wise men are able to understand them. I think wise and the super young, because remember how he said the super young always know their true legend. And only as they get older do they start to have that. And then that kind of ties into what he said about the old man, where the old man was like, and then they think that they can't change anything. And that's the world's biggest lie. Okay. X_Stargazers X. Love that quote. It's the possibility of having a dream come true that makes life interesting. I think that quote is really cool, because it's not saying accomplishing the dream makes life interesting. No, it's living a life in pursuit of that dream. And that's a very important distinction, because that's like the same thing as just wanting a lot of money that does nothing for you. But if you're pursuing something that maybe gets you a lot of money, but it's in the pursuit of this, something that gives you power, passion, that's what it's all about. Like in art, it's the process. That's the most beautiful part, if you ask me. It's like 1984. I love the connection, so cool. We're afraid of losing what we have. That's so true. Sería bueno que hicieras un club de lectura en español, y así también tú practicas tu español y para las personas que casi no hablamos inglés. Eso será muy difícil para mí, si hicimos un club de lectura en español. Me daría la oportunidad para practicar mi español más y para leer más en español. Y de pronto podemos hablar de eso sobre eso más tarde. Por este momento yo quiero hablar sobre sus quotes favoritos, las cosas que leíste o que ustedes leyeron que ahora quieres compartir con nosotros. Escríbelos acá, porfa. Lexi, you are killing it. Love that. Dreams are the language of God, and when he speaks in our language, I can interpret what he said, but he speaks in the language of the soul. It is only you can understand. I love that dreams are the language of God. But these dreams, these ultimate desires, didn't we say earlier in another quote that they come from the soul of the universe? To me, that means like God is the universe. God is everything. Everything is everything. All is one. Everything's the same, but different. Okay, so Alexia Alice is asking where I can get the book. You can get the book on Amazon. You can get it online. There's a member of our book club, Rita, who has created a Rosende Reads PDF on Twitter. I give them a shout out all the time because they post all the PDFs, or as many as they can find for our books, in different languages as well. So you don't have to worry about just finding it in English online. I would check there. And then the Google. Check the Google. Pretty amazing the stuff the Google has sometimes. I think it's comforting to think faith controls our lives, because that means we can't do anything wrong, since it's always meant to be. People want to believe that. But remember, they also said people want to believe what they want to believe. Didn't they say that in the book? But yes, I totally agree. It's the simplest things in life that are the most extraordinary. Love that. Prologue. I read the prologue about Narcissus. What do you think? I thought that was interesting because it showed a parallel there. Like, he loved going to the lake for its reflection, and the lake loved him coming for the reflection. It was like a... if you were to examine just one more stone, just one more, the quote was so interesting to me. The miner had tried for years. I think society was so accustomed to instant gratification. And I think society, or I think sometimes for us, it's easier to give up. I mean, think about it. You could stop sweating. You could stop being in a mine breaking stones. You could go have a comfort. You can go be in comfort. But that doesn't mean you're pursuing that anymore. And then you lose some of that fire, I think. But he could have given up. But he didn't. Love that. Can we call these sun Rosendes? That's hilarious. We'll talk about that later. If someone isn't what others want them to be, the others become angry. Everyone seems to have a clear idea of how other people should lead their lives, but none about his or her own. Anna Catherine is killing it again. Let's talk about that quote, because I think that's an interesting concept just for life and the greater metaphor of everything. It's super easy to do that, but we can't take our own advice. That's something I'm trying to figure out too. Like, why in life is it so hard to us? Like, we can give advice, so we can see other things so clearly, but it's so hard to be so objective about our own. I'm pretty sure there's a quote about that in the book. There was something he said, I can't remember. You can't give away what you don't have yet. True. That's another good one. Here we go. Thank you, Rita. Canary said the book is dangerous. Now you give us... Rita says the book is so dangerous because it makes you want to pack and leave and don't look back. And this kind of books scare the hell out of me. Because I know I can't do that. So yeah, that's dangerous. Okay, so I'm going to pose a question to you, Rita. There's a moment in the book when the thief takes all of his money, after he sold all of his sheep, after he committed to this dream, when everything that had once tied him to his past life was taken away. And for the first time, it was him alone in pursuit of his dream, right? Because remember earlier, he's like, with money, you're never alone. That's not true. So in that moment, what's the first thing that happens? In the moment after the thief, if you read it, if someone could like tell the page or whatever, I could read it, but he gets like super scared, right? And he goes, oh my gosh, what about this? And then I'm going to be this person, I'm not going to have any money, and then I'm going to have to go back. Oh my God, all of this scary stuff. Give me a sec, I'm going to find it, because I want to read it to you. Okay, ready? I'm going to read it to you guys. So Rita, this is the point that I want you to pay attention to just really quick. All this happened between sunrise and sunset, the boy thought. He was feeling sorry for himself and lamenting the fact that his life could have changed so suddenly and so drastically. He was so ashamed that he wanted to cry. He'd never wept in front of his own sheep, but the marketplace was empty and he was far from home. So he wept. He wept because God was unfair and because this was the way God repays those who believed in their dreams. When I had my sheep, I was happy. I made those around me happy. People saw me coming and welcomed me, he thought. But now I'm sad and alone. I'm going to become bitter and distrustful of people because one person betrayed me. I'm going to hate those who found their treasure because I never found mine. And I'm going to hold on to what little I have because I'm too insignificant to conquer the world. He opened his pouch to see what he had left in his possessions. Maybe there was a bit left for the sandwich he had eaten on the ship, but all he found was the heavy book, his jacket, in the 2 stones the old man had given him. I think that's that moment everyone's afraid of. And I think it's what you're kind of talking about, Rita. You can't just pack up and leave. You can't sell your sheep and go to another country, another world. Because what happens if life leaves you like that? In a strange place. Not a strange place. A new place. With no money. With nothing comfortable to make you feel like you still can. But what does the boy do then? Does he immediately go back? No, he thinks about it. He thinks about it. Right? He thinks about going back, but instead, he uses those stones to ground him. It's funny that I think there's a metaphor too. He uses the 2 stones to be like, I've got 2 stones. Kind of like balls. I got the balls to do this. Right? And then he takes everything in and he calms down and he relaxes. And he really believes everything will work out. And then he starts to walk. And then he meets the first guy that gives him the candy. Right? And he's like, whoa, that was really nice. And that's when he learned about the language that is spoken between people that's not verbal. Right? Then he finds the crystal place where the guy with the crystals is like, what the hell am I doing? And then this kid walks in, cleans my crystals, 2 people buy something, and I give him lunch. Things start to work out. And I think that's the message there. So I can see why this book is dangerous, if you see it that way. But I also see it's inspirational, because one of the scariest things about pursuing your dream, we're afraid of losing what we have, whether our life, our possessions, or our property. This fear evaporated when we understand our life stories and the history of the world were written by the same hand. Ooh, Jordan. Whew. Love that. What do you guys think? See, that's kind of what I'm talking about. I think Jordan would agree with me here that... Okay, so I'm going to talk about Jordan really quickly in terms of what Reed had said, because Jordan's someone that I'm inspired by in this sense. Jordan finished school in Orlando and was like, screw it, my dream is in L.A. I'm going to be in constant pursuit of my dream. So he moved to L.A. and just started making things happen. Next thing you know, he's on this super successful show called Anchors. He's hosting it himself. It's amazing. But for real, he keeps pursuing it. And then if a question came up where he's like, maybe LA is not the place anymore, he wouldn't hold on to it. He wouldn't say, do I stay here? No, he'd be like, okay, where do I have to go next? And I think that's that spirit that needs to be there. Jordan, you're welcome to a comment on this, should you like. All right, quick announcement from Rosende Reads PDF. The English, Italian, Portuguese, Spanish, Hungarian, Polish, German, and French PDFs are up on Twitter. If you need any of those, it's there. Rita, awesome. Thank you so much. Mind-blowing, right? The secret to life, though, is to fall 7 times and get up 8. Right? This fate thing relates to Slaughterhouse-Five. Like the greatest lie is that our lives are beyond our choices. And it reminds me of the life Billy Pilgrim lived so pointlessly just because he thought he didn't have a choice. Have you guys noticed all of our books kind of connect? Yes! Bueno, he leído Cazadores de Sombras todos los libros de la saga Francesco, una vida entre el cielo y la tierra. Okay, let's talk about the concepts of omens really quickly. Thank you, Georgia Laws. This book changed my view on the world. What do you guys think about the concepts of omens? The idea that omens happen, that things are real like this, that there are signs constantly leading you in the right direction if you are open enough to perceive them. You know, because I feel like that goes into that whole thing where there's like, with the oil, I don't know. Okay, so Catherine, I related to the part the old man having done something for so long that he felt it was too late for him to do anything else, because taking a leap to do something different, like shepherd, is scary. But when the opportunity presented himself, he bought 6 sheep. When you want something, the universe conspires to help you achieve it. Love that. La cabaña. Nice hack, thank you. There's only one thing that makes a dream impossible to achieve: the fear of failure. In a book, everyone had one road of life, but not fate. Same to me. When you want something, all the universe conspires to help you achieve it. Wait, we were talking about omens first. Let's talk about omens, and then we'll slide over to that one quote, because that's also a big quote that I thought a lot about. I talked to a couple friends about it. It was an interesting quote. Okay, one friend. But still. So we'll talk about that one in a minute. Let's talk about omens really quickly. What do you guys think about that? And I'll tell you that I agree that butterflies and moths are really good omens. Diego and I have an experience with moths specifically. They tend to always, if you listen, they tend to kind of lead you in the right direction. Oh! That one. Most people, Islam 17, love this. Most people see the world as a threatening place, and because they do, the world turns out, indeed, to be a threatening place. That's one of my favorite quotes. When he realized, hold on. Oh, I can't find it. It's when the boy talked about, he was like, people want to see he wanted to see it so badly that he was willing to be blind to the thief. The man tried to warn him, and he was like, no, the universe conspires for me. And they see reality as they want it to be, not exactly how it is. Interesting, the subjectivity that you need to have. It's like almost impossible. But I think it's an interesting idea. Oh, see, but it's not holding you back. It's helping propel you forward. Just shiny M. I'm gonna read her comment for everyone. I like how this book mentions to not forget about your sheep, and then don't spill the oil. That's big to me, because it shows that I can get out of my comfort zone and still value what holds me back. Well, absolutely. I don't know if it's holding you back. It's just valuing part of who you are. In that way. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I like your idea there. Can you show the book to show how it looks? Yeah. The Alchemist. So now I'm just reading comments. I hope you guys are doing the same, because you guys are saying some cool stuff. Doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. Fitting for the end of part 1. I agree with that. But that's the thing. I don't think failure is... Like, fear is what kills you. Failure isn't failure, it's learning. Like, I'm going to quote National Treasure, I think. I think it's National Treasure, when he's like, Thomas Edison had thousands of different versions of the light bulb, and do you think he ever thought, wow, and the way he looked at it wasn't like, oh, I only found one good way to make a light bulb. No, he's like, wow, I learned 1,000 ways how not to make a light bulb. That perception was super interesting. I get so sad when he get robbed. I do too. I hate when people do that. Take advantage of other people. Nothing is free in this life. That's true. You pay for it in blood, sweat, tears, money. But, okay, so, I don't know, you're saying the most scary thing about following your dreams is being alone, having no one to keep you grounded. But he still has hope. But the thing is, he did have people to keep him grounded. They just weren't, like, directly with him, but those stones that the old man gave him. In that moment, he was able to say, oh, wow, this man inspired me, I'm going to keep going. You know, I think he uses his family a lot when his dad was like, go be a shepherd. You know, he's not alone, he's always with him. It's just he has to do the journey alone, physically, but everyone's still with you. Their energy's still like, you can do this. Ooh, I got really behind in comments. Oh my god. I am so sorry. So I just caught up. If you were Santiago, would you trust the old man and give up on your sheep? Alright. we're each going to answer that question. I'll start talking about it, and then I'll start reading answers. If you were the boy or the girl, and you were in the plaza, and this old man told you that, would you sell your sheep to pursue this dream? To try to find your true legend? Ooh! Kenzie, that's super cool. I didn't look at it that way. So everyone, Kenzie's saying, I liked the connection between not forgetting the oil or his sheep. And now, at the end of part 1, he's buying some sheep. See, in my mind, that showed that there's a journey there, and I thought he gave up for a sec. He's like, oh, I can be comfortable here. But you just made me see that he was like, no, I have to take the next step. I have to get my sheep. Because he's a shepherd. That's so cool. I'm interested to keep reading now and see where that goes. You didn't trust the old man until he knew the facts that he hadn't said. That's interesting, too. Well, I thought he was going to give up the end of part 1, too, but maybe buying sheep is his way of being like, all right, I don't want to spill the oil, and I don't want to forget about my sheep, but we can all go see the world. That might be cool, because he didn't have any sheep or oil when he was there. That's interesting. Okay, so Nameless Mathi, not so nameless now. I think omens serve to demonstrate Santiago's spiritual growth throughout the story. What do you think? Oh! Interesting. I think his attention to the omens is what demonstrating the spiritual growth. How, like, at first he's like, is this a sign? The old man telling him not to in that other language. At the time, he hadn't fully understood that. He speaks the language that everyone speaks. That's not verbal. So he, later, in hindsight, he's like, oh, that guy was telling me not to trust this thief. So I think in that it shows the spiritual growth being like, oh, I can believe in this more. I can trust my intuition more, my instinct. But yeah, same lines. Totally agree. Santiago had a vision/dream, and his father, the gypsy, the king of Salem, as well as the crystal merchant all play a part. Some encouragement, and some to give an obstacle, strengthen it, resolve. Exactly. Okay, but, Lo Presti Mariana, I think that the only one who, you think that you're the only one that thinks the old man, the king of Salem, is God. There's that moment when he's sitting on the hill and he's like, what, I'm going to help this guy out. And if you remember me, the king of Salem, I know it's a little vain God. He's talking to God, but at the same time, when he was giving the kid, he was speaking God's language to the kid. I think that's kind of saying we're all connected, some more than others. And I think he's connected to God in a way that kind of makes him God. Right? But at the same time, he's still just, I don't know. But I think, to me, that comes into my belief that we're all God. We're all connected. But that's a whole other religious talk we don't need to have right now. I keep falling behind in the comments, guys. Jordan, are you still here? It's been a little quiet lately. What do I mean, we're all God? Well, this gets into my whole concept and idea that, like, because Catholics, I'm Catholic, I was raised Catholic, so we all believe that Jesus, the Holy Spirit, is in each of us. But I don't think that was meant to, like, separate us from Him and be like, oh, He's up there and we're over here. No, He was like here, like, yo, I'm here as man to tell you that you guys are all like me. We're all the same. Just I know how to live a life in a way that allows me to be a God. But you all can be. I'm in each one of you. I think, to me, that's a whole other thing. But we don't have to talk about that. Going back. I feel like the book relates to life nowadays because in society, everyone is always pressured to have that stable status instead of following your heart and your dreams. That's true. And then I think the book talks about how some people are willing to sacrifice one for the other. The stability for the pursuit or they're willing to sacrifice the pursuit for the comfort and stability, which makes them, I think, sheeps to the shepherd of society. Right? Not their own sheep and their own shepherd. Okay, I don't know if that's Russian or what language it is. I wish it was in English. I could read it, but I can't. I'm sorry. Is it Greek? I'm sorry that I don't even know what language that is. The name remains. Love that name. I love how supportive his father was of him giving up an academic life in order to be a shepherd and pursue his dreams. What do you guys think of that? Of that support? Not even that support. That understanding. Because there was an understanding that as soon as this kid said it, remember the father didn't say anything. Didn't try to stop him. He was like, okay, next day, here's 3 gold coins, man, go be a shepherd. I wonder what, like, imagine if, like, people had that, like, blind pursuit. Or that blind support. I think it'd be fascinating. What about the girl he gave up? I don't think he gave her up. I just think he has his true legend to find. And if the girl's part of that, she will be. And if she's not, then she won't be. But I don't think he gave up on her, because he didn't really know her. He met her once. He was just like, oh, this is my true legend. I think that makes sense to me. ¿Podrías decir algo en español? Bueno, estamos hablando sobre el libro, entonces si ustedes me dan una pregunta o algo así, yo puedo decir más en español. At a certain point in our lives, we lose control of what's happening to us, and our lives become controlled by fate. But that's the world's biggest lie. That's the end of the quote. I think that's the most important part of that quote. Do you think you will be able to find the gold, or maybe he's going to come back to home? What makes you think those two things are different? Right? I don't know. To me, that seems like it could be one of those. This book could... See, I have a prediction for the book where he's going to discover that treasure was inside of him all the time, and that he was going to be like, oh, I didn't need to leave to do this. I think that's what it's going to be, because I think that's kind of what our own personal journeys are. You look for things outside of yourself. Slowly they start kind of combining with things inside of yourself until you realize you had everything you needed all the time. What is that? Oh my gosh. All right, there's a book, there's a movie I want everyone to watch for our next session we can talk about. It's called I Heart Huckabees. I don't know if it's rated R. I don't think it is. I don't think there's anything super inappropriate. Ask your parents again if you can't. Be like, Mom, Dad, I want to watch this movie. It's Dustin Hoffman and Mark Wahlberg and Jason Schwartzman are in it, and it's really fantastic. Alberto recommended it. Can I watch it? Is it okay? And then have them look into it. Don't say, I'm watching this movie. I Heart Huckabees. I'll tweet it. So we can talk about that next time. But there are concepts in that movie that remind me of this book so truly. Especially Dustin Hoffman's character. Dustin Hoffman's character, I think, is the King of Salem. So check that out. 15 minutes left. Thank you. Yes, Jude Law's in it as well. I Heart Huckabees. Oh, Bethany, I understand you're 22, but there might be some people that aren't of the age that their parents are like, you can watch whatever movies you want. And I never want them to be like, well, Alberto said I could watch it, and their parents say, oh, that actor? Don't listen to him. Oh, you guys still haven't seen Submarine yet. Check it out. J-Mo's back. I know he disappeared for a bit. Now he just signed back on like I didn't notice. I'm kidding. But yeah, I think we only had 50 pages to talk about today. There's a lot of interesting questions. I want you guys to do this too, because I was talking to a friend about this. See, I knew you left, Jordan. I knew you left. You can't lie to me. Do you think you found your true legend yet? Do you think that everything you do every day is in pursuit of that true legend? It's kind of what Anchors is about. Anchors is about finding that thing that helps you stay in pursuit of your true legend. Finding that thing that anchors you to that path. That's what Anchors is all about. So I'm so happy that I know that when I told Jordan we were going to read this book, he was so excited because of how it all tied into what he believes that eventually inspired me and Diego to help him create that show. But do you guys think you know what it is? And how many of you are afraid to actually listen to it? Like, I feel like a lot of your true path is like you being like, no, I'm going to do it. Not knowing what it is. Like, most of us, some of us don't know, some of us know. Some of us know and are afraid to acknowledge it because it requires a lot of strength to pursue it. It requires a lot of things that make you scared or uncomfortable or nervous, and you, right? Still looking for your true legend. Definitely afraid. Okay, Lopez de Mariana. I think Santiago did. I think it's a sheep. Being a shepherd, I think, might be his anchor. We'll see. That's okay, Rita. It's always a process. You used to think you were your own anchor. But remember, the anchor is the idea that there is something that helps you be your best. For Jordan, it's working out. For me, it's become working out while I'm on set. And I think my anchor also is kind of becoming reading now, too, and having this book club. It's helping me stay on the path that I want to be on as a person. Right? Changing, growing, whatever that is, as long as it helps you stay on the right path, that's your anchor. But that path to your true legend, how many of you are actively taking it every day, and how many of you are actively standing at the foot of it, saying, oh, I don't want to take that step today, maybe tomorrow. Maybe when I have more money, maybe when I believe in myself more, maybe then... Jordan, explain that. Fear has two meanings. What do you mean? Would I want to write a book in the future? Well, I don't know if I have enough to say. How much time is left? How much time is left, guys? So, there's a quote that I want to read for you guys. Forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. I'm going to make that my Instagram bio. Forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. What do you guys think about that? I haven't changed my bio since I got an Instagram, so I think it's time. Anyway, about 10 minutes. Perfect. So we'll cut our book talk off here. I'm going to read a quote that I want to share with you guys. There is a life force within your soul. Seek that life. There is a gem in the mountain of your body. Seek that mine. O traveler, if you are in search of that, don't look outside. Look inside yourself and seek that. Rumi. Love that. Jordan, you legend. I know the Australians on the live are like, what was that? There was someone on set recently who was Australian, and he called everyone a legend, and I loved it. James Dean does not feel betrayed by me. He was up there for enough time. All right? Forget everything and run. Or face everything and run. Jordan, I'm going to ask you to text me that. So, let's talk about next week. Because we have about 5-6 minutes left. Next week, Saturday. I'm pretty sure we're going to do it Saturday. For Australian fans, it's just more inclusive. It's more fun. The live is still going to be up for 24 hours after, so everyone can watch it later. I think this is solid. No, I know this is the book club account. I just want to put it on my personal account because I like that. So, next week we'll do Saturday at noon. Is that cool with the Australian ones? Okay. Angelica, she wants me to remind you guys that all of the lives are on the Bra Rosende YouTube channel. They can find all the books in Portuguese on the website, Alberto Rosende Brazil. I know that Ana Bain Lewis also posts the lives on YouTube, I believe. I don't know if she's here right now. If not, she'll probably tweet me later. So I'll look forward to reading that. Okay. If you ever have to miss the live because you're going to a museum, something as amazing as a Van Gogh museum, don't even worry about it. Like, go to the museum, experience that, and you can talk to it. You can tell us about it next time. So that's all good. You can always watch it an hour later. You can always watch it later because it's on for 24 hours. So, the next book, which we will start in January, so you're going to have a couple weeks off, a couple of leisure reading, whatever you want to read. I'll post about what I'm reading for that period of time. but we'll start on January 2nd. Ah, there she is. Hey, Anna. So we'll start on like January 2nd. We're going to start Tuesdays with Maury. Then I believe February was what? Fahrenheit 451. And then after that, I think was Catch 22, right? That's what I said? But anyway, we finished the book now. We are going to finish the book for Saturday at noon. Is that doable for everyone? It's a little over 100 pages. But we're used to doing 100 pages a week. This week was actually significantly low. We only did 50. So everyone's cool. So I want people to tweet me, and I will retweet them, that our book club next week is Saturday at noon, and it will stay as such unless otherwise. Jordan, what? Why'd you say what? Perfect. So that's the next book club. So that's Saturday at noon. What? You're just saying, dude, come on. You're saying small things. Like, give me context here. I'm lost. If you're very slow at reading, just give yourself a daily task. Think about it. If you read 20 pages a day, you read 100 pages in 5 days. 20 pages a day, if you read 2 pages a minute, you read a page in 2 minutes, that's 40 minutes. 40 minutes, you can read 20 pages, it's only 40 minutes. Think about it. That's like an episode of Shadowhunters. Instead of watching Season 2 and catching up, you have until March now, read the book for 40 minutes. It works out, trust me. Trust me, really cool. You're still reading Anne Frank. Oh, finish it. It's so good. Too many pages, Jordan? Dude, come on. You're an adult. Who happens to read really well. So I'm doing this so that I'm helping Jordan become a better reader. Everyone, give Jordan your support. So, we will. You got me addicted to Mumford & Sons. Oh, good stuff. They're amazing. So, one last time, I'm gonna run through everything. Saturday at noon, we finish the book. We're gonna talk about it again for an hour, and we're gonna be like, wow, this book was amazing. Then you're gonna have like 2 weeks off, hang out, spend time with your family, read whatever you want. We'll have a meeting that'll just talk about what we read, how our winter breaks were, what we plan to do with the new year, and then I'll set the schedule for Tuesdays with Maury then. Now I'm older than Jordan. I can treat Jordan however I want. We're best friends. And if he can push me to be a better person, I can push him to be a better reader. I think that works. I think it works. What best friends do, they push each other. Let this book be your anchor reader. I love you guys. So, yeah, don't treat Jordan like that. All right. So, we have Saturday at noon. We finished the book. We know that in January we're starting Tuesdays with Maury. We know that we're going to have books to read and stuff in our interim time where we're kind of just hanging out. We'll have a meeting in January just to kind of run through what we read, all of that stuff. This book asks a lot of questions, and I want you guys to make sure you ask them to yourself as well. Not just not the questions just the boy asks, but take those questions and put them in like the perspective of your own life. What's my true legend? How am I taking steps towards that? Am I reading the signs? You know, I think that's really important. And if you're still writing diaries, like you did in Anne Frank, write that down. Talk about that. And hopefully, or like write yourself a letter. Let's do that. Let's do that. Because my hair looks bad. That's why I'm wearing a hat. Write yourself a letter saying what you think your true legend is right now. And then in a year or something, read it again. I think it's cool. Because you'd be like, whoa, I was pursuing this whole thing, but I didn't realize what that was leading me to was this. This section has become conversation. You know, Jordan's hijacking the live today. No, I'm kidding. Yo, I just said that. So, everyone, yeah, we only have like 4 minutes left. I'm going to cut this one short so we can be like, Instagram, we beat you to the punch today. But I actually have to go to that yoga class I told you guys about with that really cute yoga teacher. So, so we will talk next week. I can't wait to finish this book finally and then talk about it, because I've only read some of it, most of it. I'm going to keep going back and forth Spanish and English because that's helping me with my Spanish. And I will have more quotes for the people in Spanish next time, promise. Okay, yes, tweet me to write the diary entry. Everyone else that can't come for next week or whatever, Christmas, oh, wait a second. Isn't Christmas on Saturday? We might have to talk about this because we don't want to get in anyone's Christmas celebrations or holiday celebrations, right? So we want to pay attention to my Twitter, but as of right now, it's still Saturday at noon, as long as it's not Christmas. Oh, no, I think Sunday's Christmas, so I think Saturday works out a lot better. So Sunday's Christmas Eve. Monday's Christmas, which means Saturday's the eve of Christmas Eve, which is book club day. Perfect. Not worried about it. So, I have to get to the yoga class. I have not a lot of time, so I will see you guys later. Have a great week. Keep thinking about your true legend this week. Think about the anchor that you have that ties you to that path. Check out the episode of Anchors Season 2. And episode 2 of Season 1 is really cool. You have someone that has a completely different anchor than me, and fascinating. I got to see her do it again, and it's always so inspiring. So check that out. Everyone say bye to Jordan. Everyone send him tweets throughout the week supporting his reading so that he knows he can do it. Because if he feels that he's not strong enough to read 100 pages a week, maybe we can help him get that strength, right? I expect a text from him any minute now. Love you guys. I will see you next week. Keep reading, keep exploring, keep learning.